Hello my dear friends. Me David Nolan, with a new history topic in our channel. Éamon de Valera. Who was Éamon de Valera? Éamon de Valera was an Irish lawmaker and nationalist, one of the heads of Ireland's battle for autonomy from the United Kingdom. A significant political figure in 20th century Ireland, de Valera had served various terms as the Taoiseach, executive, and the leader of the country at various marks of time. He is likewise credited to have presented the Constitution of Ireland. He was brought into the world in America to a Spanish dad and an Irish mother, and persevered through an undeniably challenging adolescence after the passing of his dad. He was then shipped off live in Ireland with his grandma. He grew up to be a wise and athletic young fellow who likewise developed into an enthusiastic loyalist. He left on a profession as an instructor and became associated with Gaelic restoration, public recovery of interest in the Irish language. He likewise joined the Irish Volunteers and assumed an extremely huge part in the counter-British Easter Rising in Dublin. He was an individual from the Sinn Féin party which was related with outrageous patriot conclusion during the Easter Rising, and at last turned into its leader. Following Irish freedom, he arose as perhaps the most prevailing players in Irish governmental issues. Adolescence and early life. He was brought into the world as Edward George de Valera on 14 October 1882 in New York City, United States to a Spanish dad, Juan Vivian de Valera, and an Irish mother, Catherine Call. His father passed on when the kid was only 2 and he was shipped off Ireland to live with his maternal family members. After finishing his tutoring, he previously went to the Blackrock College and afterward to the Rockwell College. He was an athletic youngster who wanted to play rugby. Vocation. In 1903, Éamon de Valera was selected an educator of science at Rockwell College, County Tipperary. He then, at that point, promoted his schooling from the Royal University of Ireland and was named an educator of science at Carysford Teachers Training College for ladies dressed in Blackrock in 1906. He was a genuine loyalist and became engaged with the political unrest in 1913 when he joined the Irish Volunteers, an association that upheld Home Rule for Ireland. In 1916, the counter-British Easter Rising in Dublin was going full speed ahead and de Valera drove his powers to involve Boland's Mill. The powers were advised to give up following 7 days of battling and de Valera was the last to give up. He was likewise the solitary commandant of the insubordination, who was not executed, halfway due to his American birth. He joined the ideological group Sinn Féin in 1916 and was chosen as its leader in 1917 as a few others of the insubordinate pioneers were dead. Sinn Féin won a larger part in the 1918 general political decision following which de Valera went in camouflage to the United States, where he gathered assets to advance the reason for Irish independence from the United Kingdom. De Valera was effective in gathering $5,500,000 from American allies. Meanwhile in Ireland, devoted interests of the Irish progressives arrived at another stature, lighting the Irish War of Independence. De Valera got back to Ireland in no time before the conflict finished with the détente that produced results on July 11, 1921. The Anglo-Irish Treaty was endorsed in 1922 and the bigger piece of Ireland became autonomous from the United Kingdom to turn into the Free Irish Free State. Nonetheless, it would require a few additional prior years it would turn into a republic. De Valera left Sinn Féin in 1926 and established the party Fianna Fáil that very year. He turned into the head of government, president of the Executive Council. In 1932, he composed another constitution in 1937 in which he included changes and images planned to state Irish power. The constitution additionally proposed another name for the state, Éire in Irish, and Ireland in English. But the reception of the new constitution, Ireland turned into a republic and Douglas Hyde was introduced as the main president of Ireland on 26 June 1938, in the primary debut service in the country's set of experiences. De Valera was the president of the Executive Council at the hour of authorization of the new constitution in 1937. When Ireland turned into a republic, his office naturally turned into that of Taoiseach, Prime Minister, a place that conveyed significantly more force than the one he recently held. He turned into the president very late throughout everyday life. He challenged the official political race in 1959 and won. He then, at that point, surrendered as the Taoiseach and was introduced president. Significant works. Éamon de Valera is without a doubt one of the significant figures in the political history of Ireland. Throughout his long political vocation which traversed over 50 years, he assumed an essential part in the Irish War of Independence and many years after the fact, in the foundation of Ireland as a republic. Individual life and legacy. He met Sinead Flanagan, an educator, in 1908 and wedded her in 1910. A few was honored with 5 children and 2 girls. Éamon de Valera kicked the bucket on the 29th of August 1975, at 92 years old. Random data. This previous president of Ireland once held the world record for being the most established chosen head of state.